This is by far one of Hasbro's very best vintage collection waves. It is stunning. All of these figures are at the very least very good, and at the very best, some of the very best. These are amazing. I do have issues with a couple of the figures. You know, each figure does have an issue here or there, but man, this is a stellar wave. These are all stars. We've got 3 figures from Kenobi, technically 4 if you want to count Attack of the Clones Anakin, and we have the Mandalorian Super Commando, which is also actually kind of tied to the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi. These are amazing figures. They are so great. I love them. I decided to review everything in one video because I've got the whole wave here. No real reason to split it, even though I do think that Darth Vader is going to appear in another video. So let's just get right into it. Let's talk about Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan's card is very nice. I love the picture they chose. I love the color. I just think it's a nice card. I do like that the material of the cards has gotten a little thicker too. I appreciate that. You can see the rest of the figures in the wave that we pretty much have here. Morak Fett doesn't exist yet, really. 332nd clone I don't have yet, and I should hopefully be getting that Din Djarin here soon. I don't know. We'll see when that happens. I'll be getting the Migs Mayfeld here soon, though, which is nice. But let's get into this Obi-Wan. So he's got a lot of cool stuff going on. So as you can see right off the bat, he has a pretty good likeness to Ewan McGregor. It's not perfect. It's not like... I would say it actually is mini Hot Toys in this case, because the Hot Toys one doesn't have the greatest likeness either, for whatever reason. But yeah, I would say it's a pretty decent likeness to Ewan McGregor. It's, like I said, it's not perfect. For accessories, you do get some pretty nice stuff. Obviously, you got his lightsaber. You know, he's holding it. It's pretty standard for what we've seen for the past few years for Obi-Wan's saber, but now you can see it's kind of a richer blue. And I feel like the blade is a lot more refined than other Obi-Wan sabers. I like that they don't do the little speckling at the base of it now. I was kind of not the biggest fan of that. He does have his hilt, which I do like that it's kind of like really tucked back there. So number one, you can just have it always on him, you know, if he's got the cloak on. But also, you know, it's there, you know, you can peg it on. It pegs on really nice. You do get his blaster as well, because apparently, even though it's not the weapon of a Jedi Knight, sometimes when you're desperate, you got to resort to something. Nice little gun. I dig it. He does have his cloak as well, which you can remove. Actually, the first time I've removed his cloak. So let's just go ahead and do that. And we'll probably leave it on for the duration so we can get a closer look at him. But yeah, underneath the cloak, he looks pretty good. I dig it. Looks nice. I don't really remember him not having the brown robes on, though. I don't really remember this, but still you can see he's going to have some pretty nice articulation. He does come with a couple other really nice things, though. Mainly, it's going to be Princess Leia's little droid. Pretty sure the name's Lola. You get 2 different versions of it. You get one that's kind of like hovering in its disc mode, and you get one that has like these little legs and these little wings sticking out. So yeah, those are really cute. They look really nice too. I am kind of disappointed these come with Obi-Wan, because it kind of tells me that we're probably not going to see a Princess Leia. But it is what it is. Back in the day, we would have already had Princess Leia, but nowadays we might not even see her. But still, it's nice that we got this. It can work with both Obi-Wan and Reva. But you can also kind of have him hold it too. You can kind of get that clear base in his hand just a little bit. So it looks like it's kind of hovering in his hand, which is nice. So you can see, yeah, when it comes to his look, he does look pretty nice. You know, obviously he's been on Tatooine for a while. He doesn't really have any purpose in life. He's sad. But at the end, he's happy, so it's amazing! But yeah, his articulation's pretty nice, too. Got a dumbbell joint at the head, universal at the shoulder. Very, very nice elbows. Man, they just keep blowing it out of the water with these elbows. He's got wrists that move up and down, which is the preferred joint. I'm very happy they've finally learned that up and down is the most useful joint for a weapon wielder. His torso range isn't the best. You know, it's on a ball joint, but it might as well not be. It basically just kind of swivels. And the stomach doesn't really seem to be much there at all, if anything. Maybe a swivel, but I'm not really getting a lot of motion. They are using the ball joints, which is amazing. I'm so happy they're using that for all the figures now. They move forward pretty decently, but the tunic does get in the way a little bit. You get a thigh swivel. And then I have an issue with his knees, because his knees are so far down. This poor guy's got the tiniest shins that I've seen in a long time. So he looks kind of awkward if you've got him like bent like that. He's just got this tiny little shin. I just feel like it should have been just, just a little bit higher. Just a little bit higher. But it is what it is. And then his ankles are very nice. A lot of nice up and down and tilt. So overall, for Obi-Wan, you get a lot of nice stuff going on. Let's get this robe back on, because I do have a couple things to say about the robe. So the robe, it does fit on him pretty well. It just kind of drapes over his head. But I feel like with this figure, it just kind of rests there. And I don't feel like it rests in the right spot. It just looks awkward. I feel like if you got it like that, it would look pretty decent. But it springs up. I just feel like they haven't mastered where the stitching should go quite yet. I feel like the stitching on this just needed to be a little better. Maybe just a little, differently positioned or something. Maybe a little pinch where it should have been. But still, I mean, it looks decent down. And I do like how it has this little layering right here. I just think it gives it a little bit more depth. Overall, this Obi-Wan's pretty good, but I would not call it the figure of the wave. I feel like there's two figures here that are contenders for figure of the wave, and I think one of them kind of beats the other out. So there's Obi-Wan. He's pretty nice. Reva, the third sister. A controversial character for some people because they thought like she had no real purpose in the show, even though I feel like she was an amazing character and served a lot of purpose, especially for Obi-Wan's character development, while still like having her own character. She's my favorite Inquisitor. I've never really been a big fan of the Inquisitors, but she is by far my favorite. Unfortunately, my card came very nicely damaged from Amazon, but hey, if you have a damaged box from Amazon, in my experience, if you contact customer service, they'll refund you. So my Reva was free. So that's nice. You can see pretty much the same on the back. 242. It's crazy seeing how high the number gets. But yeah, nice card. I like the red color too. And the figure herself is pretty stellar, even though I do have just a couple little issues with her. Her accessories are not one of those issues. I think her accessories are amazing. I was looking to see if she had a peg hole on her back like most Inquisitors, but I realized it's on her hip. Because she does have the hilt, but you can tab into her side. I'm so used to Inquisitors having something on their back, but I think on the side it looks kind of nice too. See, I can get that tabbed in, fits really well. But obviously she's got the dual wielding going on because she can split her saber, which is really cool. So yeah, you get the two sabers, and you get the combined saber, which is really big. It is really long. But I love the detail on it. It's actually got paint, and it just looks gorgeous. I mean, even though the HasLab didn't work out, we at least have this one! Hooray! So yeah, that's neat. That's cool. I dig it. Alright, so cool accessories, but I think I want to keep her dual wielding right now because I just think it looks really cool. So, what's my issues with her? Let's just get this out of the way. It's her shoulders. For whatever reason, the shoulder pad sculpt, they just did it in such a way where it hinders the shoulder articulation. So you really can't get her shoulders moving out beyond that. And that's really disappointing. Because she's such a cool, dynamic character. She's over here jumping off of rooftops, fighting Darth Vader and all that, and you can't even get her arms moving up too high. It's kind of disappointing. But other than that, her articulation's really nice. She's got a very nice joint at the head there. Speaking of that head, I think it's an amazing likeness. You can just see the attitude in her face and the hate in her eyes. It's so cool. I like her cape a lot too. I'm noticing it's kind of an odd material. You can see it's not really fraying on the edges, but it's kind of like specked on the edges where it is fraying in a way, but not really. I do feel like it works though. I mean, the cape works. It looks good. But I just think it's an odd material given the material we'll see later on in the video. So her shoulder's kind of bad, but it's not that big of a deal. Her elbows are pretty good. I think that's nice. Maybe it's just because she has thinner arms and they did like some testing and it didn't work out, but she only has swivels at the wrist. She doesn't have any up or down. So that's a little disappointing, but it's, again, not the end of the world. Her torso, though, is way better than Obi-Wan's. You actually do get a bit of a crunch and you get some side to side. Some nice rotation. The legs move forward pretty good. They move out all the way. Thigh swivel. You actually get a knee that is like decently proportioned. Because I mean, just look at the size of the shin. Like, look at that. Look at the shin size difference between Obi-Wan and Third Sister. It's wild. Then her ankles move up just a little bit, but they move back really nice and you get a pivot. So overall, I would say the Third Sister is a pretty good figure in this wave. I don't feel like she's that great, though, because that shoulder articulation just really holds her back. I really can't. Like, I feel like if I'm trying to force it, I'm, like, messing up her shoulder. But, I mean, maybe you can force it just a little bit. Like, I think I've forced it just a little bit, but I feel like I'm damaging it. You know, I feel like that articulation's just not really meant to happen, and I feel like they could have engineered her a little better. But yeah, other than that, I think she's a pretty good figure, and I really like the character personally. I just feel like a lot of people have a lot of hate for the more recent Disney efforts for Star Wars. But for me, I save all of my complex thinking and my deep thoughts for actual life, and I just enjoy Star Wars as fun media. So, here's the Vader card. Really nice picture. I like it. It's the dark times, apparently. That's not good. But yeah, it's that color. I don't know why, but it actually kind of works. You can see it's Vader card. It's pretty neat. But even though the card is uneventful, the figure is far from that. So you may have heard that this is the best Vader figure ever made, especially in the 3 3/4 inch scale. And if you heard that, I am pleased to report that those statements are correct. This is by far the best Vader ever made. It is amazing. It is so good. It looks amazing. It feels amazing. It is just so freaking good. One of my only issues with it is the cape. But actually, right now, the cape is really cooperating with me. It's folded up in such a way on the back that I feel like it really is working right now. But unfortunately, the cape does start to have some issues once you start wanting to, like, put it around his shoulders. Because Vader's known for kind of having the cape around his shoulders, you know, being more ornate and everything. I just feel like that's when things kind of start bunching up in awkward ways, and it starts looking a little toyish because capes don't really fold like that. I feel like the more I've worked with it, the more I've been able to get the cape to really function. But I think for me, the best way to have the cape is probably draped along his back like that. And that leaves you with a lot of potential for dynamic posing because, oh boy, can this guy pose. So what does he come with for accessories? Obviously, he's got his saber. He needs the saber. Come on, it's basic. He does come with alternate hands, which is awesome. He's got a fisted hand, which I actually like having him posed Rogue One style, where he's got the fist up and he's like moving back. So I usually keep him with the fist. But because I do want to test him out with another accessory, let's take this fist out and put in this left gripping hand, which is really nice. And for his right hand, you do get an alternate as well. You do get kind of like a pointing hand, so you can kind of have him holding the belt and, you know, doing the classic Vader point. That's really cool. But I want to have him with this, because let's just snatch one of those lightsabers out of Reva's hand. The saber hilt's a little too thin. That's not good. Yeah, he doesn't really want to hold it right out of the box. But I'm sure if you'd kind of soften the plastic and like warp the hand to have a tighter grip, you could get him in a very nice position, dual wielding his saber and one of Reva's. So that would be super cool. But unfortunately, it doesn't really work straight out of the box for whatever reason. I guess they didn't have that much foresight. I guess they were really thinking you could have him holding it with his left hand. Because, I mean, he holds his saber nice with his left hand. So I guess that works well enough. But you can see he's gorgeously painted. Look at that helmet. It's got like the gunmetal alternation to it. It is just so stunning. Look at that, man. Oh, dude. Look at the chest plate. Look at the chest box. Look at the belt. All the little buttons and things. It's so gorgeous. This thing is painted masterfully. Look at the legs. The boots are glossy and the undersuit's more matte. Same with the gloves. Oh, dude, this thing is just gorgeous. It is by far the best Vader figure. Like I said, by far. And let's prove that by going over the articulation. I might have forgotten this accessory. He has the hilt. I think I forgot to mention this. So you can put the hilt on him, which is nice. You know, again, it pegs on really nice. But articulation, his helmet. Look at how much this moves. This is a Vader helmet. Look at this. This is crazy. Oh, dude, that is so good. The shoulders, oddly enough, the shoulder pad is attached to the chest armor and not to the shoulder itself. So as you move the arm, the shoulder pad kind of flexes out of the way. Kind of an odd choice, but I feel like it still works. Personally, I would not have done that, but I do think it allows for some really good shoulder articulation. Elbows move in really nice. He does have up and down hinges at all the wrists, so that's really good. His torso, look at this. Look at this range, man. Look at that. You actually get a bit of a crunch, which is nice. It's not crazy. It's not like a super crazy crunch, but you still get a decent crunch. It's almost unheard of for a Vader. You get hips move in and out, again, on the really nice ball joints they use nowadays. Thigh swivel, pretty decent knee bend, and this ankle is really good. So essentially, what you end up with is the best Vader that I think Hasbro has ever made, including Black Series. In my opinion, I think this is Hasbro's best Vader. I just think it's so well made, so well designed. It is just so posable. It looks gorgeous. I actually think that this beats the Black Series ones. And unfortunately, the Black Series Kenobi Vader, even though 3 3/4 inch gets a brand new Vader, Black Series just gets a retool. So, is this Vader an absolute winner? Yes. Is it the peak of the wave? I would say yes. Absolutely, you need this Vader in your life. Get it. Figured I'd put Reva's other saber in her hand so you can get an idea of what that looks like. But we're moving past Kenobi, and we are moving to the Mandalorian Super Commando. Again, they have started to use actual pictures of the cartoon instead of a realistic interpretation, which is kind of odd, but still, I think it looks nice. I dig it. Pretty cool card. Not too much to say. I like it. It's cool. The figure, on the other hand, is great. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, yes, I bought 2 of them. I love this figure. It's so cool looking. I have wanted what I call the Mandalorians in 3 3/4 inch for so long. And I'm so happy we got them. And we're also getting the one with the horn helmet. I can't wait for that. I'm getting 2 of that one too. So I can have a little bit of a force to go with the Darth Maul. And I'm really hoping we get Gar Saxon. I'm really hoping. But in the meantime, I'm happy to just have a little Mandalorian force. And if you are wondering, this is a Figma flight stand, and he doesn't come with these flame effects, but the Boba Fett Deluxe figure, which I still consider the best 3 3/4 inch Star Wars figure, comes with these, and they actually are compatible with other Mandalorian jetpacks. So that's super cool. But this figure is just so great. I mean, look at the paint. Look at how far the paint application has come for Star Wars figures. This thing would have been unheard of back in the day. Seriously, like, I talk about how Star Wars figures were so great 10, 12 years ago, but I also have to say, this would not have happened 10, 12 years ago. Look at the level of detail. Look at all the complexity. That paint application you see, I don't see happening. The accuracy of the helmet sculpt, I mean, they have only recently mastered Mandalorian helmets. Mando helmets back in the day were weird looking. I'm sorry, they just didn't look right. Same with Stormtrooper helmets. But they finally figured out helmets. I mean, just look at all this detail. Look at the red trim on the helmet. Look at all the little silver. The jetpack doesn't really have much detail, but it does have a little bit. You can see it has a little bit of red paint on it. I don't feel like the jetpack was really too detailed anyway. You can remove it. It is very nicely and sturdily pegged on. I don't think sturdily is a word, but it is now. You can see even more silver on the back. They didn't even have to do that, but I'm so happy that they did. I mean, look at this. On the cod piece, especially on the chest, that is amazing looking. And I love like the handprint on the helmet and all the little scrapes and scratches. It does have what he comes with. He comes with 2 hip-mounted little Westar pistols. But he also does come with the rifle, which I just have with the one on the jetpack. I mean, come on, look at that, dude. Look at that. That's amazing. It's not even in focus. It's so cool. My camera doesn't even want to focus. There we go. Just look at that. Aw, man. I mean, going down the whole entirety of the armor. It's so detailed. It's so good. I love this thing. Now, this figure does kind of repurpose some of the parts from the Death Watch Mandalorian from The Mandalorian. Namely, it kind of reuses some of the torso engineering, which is kind of disappointing to me because it has this issue where it doesn't really have a forward crunch. but it has a lot of backwards motion. And I mean, that does work for like a jetpack pose like he has over there, but I just feel like he would have benefited so much from having extra torso articulation other than just being able to move back. But other than that, his articulation, let's just get into it. Pretty nice range on the helmet there. Pretty much everything you would ask for from a figure with a bucket on his head. Shoulders, really nice. I love how the shoulder pads are attached to the torso, so they get entirely out of the way. The elbows are so deep. Look at that, that's nice. He does have the hinges at the wrists, so you get some nice articulation out of that. I've already showed you the waist. He actually does have an additional swivel right there, but unfortunately if you do rotate it for whatever reason, you only really get the backwards motion. Hips are really nice. They only move out just a little bit because of the thigh armor, but I still feel like they serve a good purpose. Knees are really good, thigh swivel. No real boot cut, but you do have a rotation under the knee, which is nice. And then ankles, they move, they pivot. This figure is amazing, and I can't wait to get it in other versions. I'm really hoping, like I said, we get Gar Saxon. I'd love to see more Clone Wars era Mandalorians. I'd love to see a... Geez, what's his name? I always forget his name. The one guy, the traitor that got assassinated before he could say anything. I always forget his name. He was like, he wasn't like the senator, but he was like the... I know him. I know his name. I'm blanking on it. Don't tell me. I know his name. There's his name. There's his armor. It looks really cool. I would like him too. Anyways, Anakin. So last and not least is the Attack of the Clones Anakin Skywalker. If you know me, I normally don't rebuy figures like this. Whenever they reissue a figure just with like the face printing, I'm normally not one to get it. But they actually added an accessory to this, and it also helps that I consider it the best Anakin figure ever made. So, I mean, if you add an accessory to one of my favorite figures, yeah, I'm gonna get the updated version. And I'm really happy I did. I think this card back's really nice. We haven't had a normal Attack of the Clones Anakin on a normal card back, because this is a reissue of the Black Series 3 3/4 inch Anakin from like, what, Wave 1? Remember the Black Series 3 3/4 inch stuff? That was unfortunate. But thankfully, this Anakin was the highlight of that line. In my opinion, it is the best Anakin figure we've ever gotten. The articulation's just so good on it. The likeness, especially with the face printing, is really good to Hayden Christensen. It's not perfect, but you can really see it in certain angles. That is a very nice likeness. His new accessory is the tunic that he wore in certain scenes in Attack of the Clones. He didn't have it all the time, but I really do appreciate it. It's an awkward tunic, though, especially in this scale. I feel like it's just kind of awkward to like have around his body. It's not the most graceful tunic. And my camera's trying to desperately focus in on his face and thus neglecting everything else. He does have a hood, but like Obi-Wan, it does have some issues. But again, I feel like something about this one, it actually goes over him a little better. Now that there's no face, my camera's just given up. Oh my goodness. Come on. And get off of Reva! Anyways, here we go. I think that looks a little nicer than the Obi-Wan, but it's not that nice. I think it could have been a little better. But still, I like the tunic. You can move it out of the way to see, the full figure. Man, this is such a nice figure, too. He does come with some stuff. He does come with his original hilt. This is the one that he loses in Attack of the Clones. So you get that, you can peg it on him, it looks nice. You do also get his robo hand he has at the end of the movie. I'll probably give my old version the robo hand, and I'll have this one be, the full able-bodied one. But yeah, I really do dig that. That's a nice little inclusion. You can obviously pop his hand off at the wrist. It kind of goes into the sleeve to do that. But his articulation, man, I think is where this figure really shines, especially for being almost a decade old. I think this came out in like 2013. It's crazy. So ball joint at the head, universal at the shoulder, universal at the elbow, swivels at the wrists. His torso is just a rotation, but that's kind of to be expected with figures of this age. He actually has the swivel hinge system at the hips, but I feel like this is one of the best iterations of it, because you get a lot of outward, and it's pretty easy to move it inward and get a lot of range. You can also move the knee, and look at that, it pretty much works flawlessly. And it's really easy to just get into the position you want. And his ankles, man, so rare to see figures of this age have ankle pivot. He was actually one of the first to really oh my gosh, it's just a standard Star Wars figure with ankle pivot. That's crazy. But yeah, this Anakin is really nice. It's, like I said, one of my favorites. He's really nice to pose. I do feel like this new tunic is a little awkward at times. I do feel like it does kind of get in the way and it does look kind of goofy. But at this scale, man, I've been so used to goofy tunics for how many years now? I mean, even going back to 1978 with all the vinyl tunics and everything, it's hard to make clothes look nice at this scale. If you want cloth goods to look nice on a Star Wars figure, get a Hot Toys. I mean, at this scale, it's going to be difficult, but I think they do the best with what they have. And there's not too much to say about this Anakin, because, I mean, he's been around for, like 10 years. Yeah, I like him. I recommend him if you don't have the original. If you do have the original, you don't need this one, but I think the tunic and the face printing is a worthy addition to it. Alrighty, and with that, there is my overview and what I consider to be one of the best vintage collection waves we have had in a long time. These figures are great. I think every single one is pretty great. I think a few of these are absolutely stellar. I think the Mandalorian Super Commando is one of the most nicely painted figures I've seen in the vintage collection ever. I don't know why I'm so out of breath. And I feel like the Vader is just overall, he is, man, we keep getting these figures where I'm saying like they're top tier. That Vader is definitely Hasbro's best Vader, but I would also put it in like top 5 best 3 3/4 inch figures, period. I'd put it in the top 5. Like the new Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, and this Vader occupy the top 5. So it's like what the other two are, I'm not even sure. Maybe Malgus? I like the Malgus a lot. I don't know, man. I haven't thought that much about it. But yeah, they have made some amazing figures here. A few issues here and there, but overall, I think this is a stellar wave. I'm really happy that we got Obi-Wan figures this shortly after the series. I'm disappointed that Vintage Collection is going to be probably last to the punch for, first brother / Grand Inquisitor. We're not going to have him, or fifth brother, or fourth sister, I think. The Black Series and even the Retro line is going to have them before Vintage Collection. Ned B, we're not going to have Ned B. I'm not too concerned about the Imperial Officer lady. I mean, she was a good character in my opinion, but her, it's just another Imperial Officer outfit figure. It's not as exciting as, something like what you see here. There's some cool stuff in Obi-Wan, and I'm happy that we're getting stuff. I'm happy that we're getting that 3-pack with like the Purge Trooper and the other version of Obi-Wan. But I'd like to see the final outfit. I'd like to see the outfit he had when he confronts Qui-Gon at the end. That would be cool to see. That'd be like a nice deluxe set with what was it, Neopi? Is that the animal he was riding? Man, I don't know anymore. But yeah, I feel like there's so much more potential for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series for more figures. And I'm hoping that they don't leave Vintage Collection in the dust. I'm hoping that they're like doing the same stuff in both scales. And I think Retro too, like they're putting effort into Retro stuff over Vintage Collection. What? Huh? Why are we getting Grand Inquisitor and Ned B in Retro before we get them in, Vintage Collection? It's insane to me. But hey, at least we got the Super Commando first in TVC. I'm sure he's soon to follow in Black Series, because Black Series needs to have stuff that Vintage Collection has. If anything, Vintage Collection misses out on stuff. But at the end of the day, I am a very happy TVC collector. Hasbro has left me very satisfied with this wave. I'm very happy it came out as quickly as it did. I'm looking forward to the next wave. I'm very happy that TVC seems to be ramping up, because I've said for a while, Hasbro gives us great stuff, but they drip feed it to us. But I feel like now, look at this wave. 4 brand new figures and 1 re-released figure that actually has new components to it. I think this is a super solid wave. And then again, he fits with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And if you give him an Obi-Wan Kenobi head, you can make him like Kenobi in disguise. I think you have to repaint the helmet a little bit, though. Alrighty, I've rambled on long enough. Thank you guys so much for watching. Special shout out to the patrons of Patreon. Thank you all so much for your continued support. I don't know why people want to listen to my insane ramblings, let alone want to financially support those insane ramblings. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna shut off the camera. I'm done filming for today. I feel like when I film videos, I just have like this weird way of talking. You know, I talk like some weird host, but then when the camera's off, I talk like a normal human being. If you do YouTube videos, you know what I'm talking about. It's odd. I'll see ya. Goodbye.